My fiancée announced, "I'm done listening to your feelings and needs. You're too emotional for a man." I said, "Noted." Then I stopped sharing completely, including that I'd been offered a job in another state. When the moving truck showed up, and she had no idea I'd already accepted it, her entire world fell apart. But let me back up and explain how we got there. I'd been feeling restless at work for months. 4 years as a project manager at Henderson Construction in Charlotte, and I was hitting a ceiling. The money was decent, $78K, but I wanted more responsibility, more challenge, more respect for the communication skills that made me good at managing teams and client relationships. My boss, Patricia, had pulled me aside 3 weeks earlier. "Callan, you're our best at handling difficult clients. You actually listen to what they're saying, then translate it into actionable plans. That's rare in this industry." It felt good to hear that. At home, those same communication skills were apparently a problem. I'd been casually browsing LinkedIn for opportunities when the recruiter message came in. Tuesday morning, 9:23 a.m. Senior Construction Director position, Nashville, Tennessee. 135K base salary, plus 8K signing bonus, and full relocation package. 850 miles away from everything I knew. Normally, I'd screenshot it immediately and text Brianna. "Look at this crazy opportunity." We'd been together 4 years, living together for 2.5. We discussed everything, or at least I thought we did. Instead, I stared at the message for a full minute. The last 3 months had been different, tense. Every time I tried to talk through decisions, wedding planning, our future, even what to have for dinner, she'd get this look, exhausted, like I was burdening her with my need to actually communicate. I responded to the recruiter, extremely interested. "When can we talk?" That evening at 6:47 p.m., I was making pasta when Brianna brought up the wedding budget. We were supposed to finalize numbers. Her parents had generously offered to cover the venue and catering, $12,000 total. We needed to split the remaining costs: photographer, DJ, flowers, miscellaneous. About 3,200 families each. "I think we should look at our finances together before committing," I said, stirring the sauce. "Maybe create a joint spreadsheet for all wedding expenses and our savings goals for the house down payment." The water glass hit the counter hard enough that I jumped. "Oh my God, not this again. I just think we should plan this properly. No, I'm done. I'm done listening to your feelings and needs. You're too emotional for a man. Do you know how exhausting it is? Every single decision requires a 3-hour discussion. My dad never acted like this. He just handled things and let my mom plan the details." I turned off the burner. The pasta was starting to stick. "I'm not your dad. Clearly, he's actually masculine." 4 years. 4 years of what I thought was building something together, and she was comparing me to her father like I was defective. Like wanting to discuss our shared future was somehow unmanly. "You want me to stop sharing my feelings? I want you to stop having so many feelings, or at least keep them to yourself. I can't be your therapist." The words hit like a physical blow. "Noted. Don't be dramatic." I stood there holding a spatula, watching the sauce burn, and something fundamental shifted. If she didn't want to hear my feelings, she wouldn't hear anything at all. That night, lying in bed while she scrolled through wedding Pinterest boards next to me, I made a decision. The recruiter had asked when we could talk. Tomorrow, I decided. We'd talk tomorrow. The phone screen went perfectly. 2 hours of detailed questions about project timelines, team management, client relations. Everything Brianna found exhausting about me, they found valuable. They wanted someone who could communicate complex construction schedules to nervous property developers. Someone who could mediate between architects and contractors when tensions ran high. "We're looking for someone who can really listen," the hiring manager said. "Too many people in construction just bark orders. We need someone who understands that good communication prevents expensive mistakes." Second interview was scheduled for Friday. Panel interview with 4 department heads. I came home energized for the first time in months. Brianna was on her phone. "How was work?" "Good, really good actually." Patricia said, She didn't look up from her screen. I almost told her about the interview. The words were right there, but her dismissive hum, the way she couldn't even be bothered to make eye contact, I swallowed them instead. "Just tired," I said. Friday's panel interview was intense. 90 minutes with the senior leadership team, walking through case studies, discussing my philosophy on project management and team dynamics. "Tell us about a time you had to manage a difficult stakeholder," the VP asked. I described a project where the client kept changing requirements mid-build, how I'd set up weekly check-ins to get ahead of their concerns instead of reacting to crisis calls. "Communication," I said. "Most problems come from assumptions. I'd rather have 10 short conversations than one emergency meeting." They exchanged glances, good glances. "We'll have an offer by Monday," they said. Driving home, my phone buzzed with a text from Brianna. "Dinner with my parents tonight. Don't forget." I'd completely forgotten. Another discussion about wedding planning, another evening of her father's subtle digs about young men today not being decisive enough. Another 3 hours of being told, indirectly, that my approach to everything was somehow wrong. But I sat through it, nodded when her dad talked about how he'd planned his wedding in 2 weeks because real men don't overthink things. Smiled when her mom gushed about how lucky Brianna was to have such a thoughtful fiancé. The word thoughtful somehow sounding like a character flaw the way she said it. Monday morning, 10:47 a.m., my phone buzzed. Email from Nashville. "We're pleased to offer you the position of Senior Construction Director." I read it twice. Then I walked to the break room, called them back, and after 20 minutes of questions about start dates and relocation timelines, I accepted. My finger hovered over Brianna's contact. 4 years together. Engaged for 8 months. This was the biggest career move of my life, but she was done listening to my feelings and needs. She'd made that crystal clear. I put the phone away and started planning. Start date, 6 weeks from today. Perfect timing, actually. Our current lease ended in 7 weeks, and only my name was on it. I'd signed it 2 months before Brianna moved in, back when we were still figuring out if living together would work. That evening, I started apartment hunting online. Nashville had a decent market for young professionals. Found a place in 3 days, 1 bedroom in a nice building downtown, walking distance to the new office. $1,180 a month, which was actually $170 less than what I was paying in Charlotte. First month, last month, security deposit, $3,340 total. I signed the lease electronically Tuesday night while Brianna watched Netflix beside me. She glanced over once. "Work stuff?" "Yeah, just reviewing contracts." Not technically a lie. It was a contract. Wednesday morning, I gave my notice. 3 weeks, not the standard 2. Construction projects need proper handoff time, and I didn't want to burn bridges. My boss was disappointed but understood. "This is a hell of an opportunity, Callan," Patricia said. "Senior director at your age, Nashville's lucky to get you." "Thanks, that means a lot." "You've got a gift for making people feel heard. Don't lose that. It's what sets you apart." Ironic, considering my fiancé found that exact quality exhausting. I started decluttering immediately. 4 years of accumulating stuff in a shared space, and I needed to figure out what was mine, what was ours, and what I could live without. Sold my old gaming console online, some furniture that wouldn't fit in the new place, books I'd never reread. Brianna loved it. "See, this is exactly what I've been saying. You had so much junk cluttering up our space." "You're right," I said, packing another box. "Amazing how much clearer things look when you start fresh." She missed the double meaning entirely. Week 2, I rented a storage unit across town. $120 a month. Started moving things there on Saturdays while Brianna visited her parents for wedding planning sessions. Told her I was donating everything to Goodwill. "I'm proud of you," she said one Saturday evening. "You're finally learning to just handle things without making it into a big emotional production." I nodded. "You taught me well." The storage unit was filling up with my life. Winter, clothes, sports equipment, photo albums from before we met, my grandfather's tools, things that mattered to me but apparently cluttered her vision of our perfect space. Week 3, her mother called while I was loading boxes. "Callan, honey, we need your final guest list by this weekend. The caterer needs head counts." "You should ask Brianna about that." "Is everything all right? You sound distant." "Just busy with work projects. You know how it is." "Well, we're all so excited. Only 5 months away now. Mom was just saying how wonderful it is that Brianna found someone who really gets her." "Gets her?" "Right, I was getting her. All right." Week 4, I booked the moving truck. 20-footer from a local company, $750 with full insurance. Scheduled for Friday morning at 9 a.m. I'd checked Brianna's calendar. She'd mentioned having back-to-back video meetings all day Friday, working from home. Important quarterly presentations that she couldn't reschedule. Perfect. She'd be home to witness everything, but unable to stop it. Thursday night, I barely slept. Not from nerves, from anticipation. I'd played this scenario in my head dozens of times. Every detail was planned. Every contingency covered. I was giving her exactly what she'd asked for. A man who just handled things without involving her in the emotional labor of decision-making. She woke up Friday at 8 a.m., made her coffee, set up her laptop in the living room. Big presentation day for her marketing team. Try to keep it quiet today, okay? These meetings are really important. Won't be a problem. 8:47 a.m. My phone buzzed. Text from the moving company. Running about 10 minutes early. That okay? Perfect, I texted back. I looked around the apartment one last time. 4 years of shared memories. Photos of us on vacation. The couch we'd picked out together. The kitchen table where we'd had 1,000 conversations about our future. Was I throwing it all away? The doubt crept in for just a moment. 4 years. Our friends thought we were the perfect couple. Her parents had already put down deposits. Then I remembered Tuesday night. The way she'd dismissed my feelings like they were an inconvenience. The way she'd compared me to her father like I was fundamentally defective for wanting partnership instead of dictatorship. My finger had hovered over her contact so many times this week. I could still tell her about the job. We could discuss it like adults. Maybe she'd be excited for the opportunity. Maybe she'd want to come with me. But deep down, I knew better. She'd want to discuss the impact on wedding planning, on her job, on the life she'd already mapped out without my input. She'd want to weigh pros and cons and find reasons why it wasn't the right time. And when I pushed back, when I explained that this was my career and my decision, she'd shut down again. Tell me I was being too emotional, too needy, too much work. 8:58 a.m. The truck pulled up outside. I was done being too much. Work. The doorbell rang. Brianna was mid-sentence in her presentation, camera on, her entire team watching. "Can you get that?" she whispered, turning her camera off briefly. "And whoever it is, get rid of them quickly." I opened the door. 3 guys with dollies and moving blankets. "Here for the Reeves move?" "That's right. Let's get started." I pointed them toward my furniture, my boxes, everything that belonged to me, about 70% of the apartment's contents. Brianna's head whipped around when she heard voices. She looked at me, at the movers, back at me, her mouth opened slightly. I held up my phone and typed a quick text. "Moving day. Stay on your call." Her eyes went wide, but her boss was talking. She turned her camera back on, forcing a smile. "Sorry about that brief interruption. As I was saying about Q4 projections..." Her voice was shaking. The movers worked efficiently. First trip out. My couch, coffee table, TV stand. I directed them with hand signals, keeping quiet while Brianna struggled through her presentation. She kept glancing over, her professional smile getting tighter each time she saw another piece of furniture disappear. Between slides, she frantically typed on her phone. "What's happening?" I texted back. "Moving." "What do you mean moving?" "Nashville, new job, senior construction director, starting Monday." I watched her face cycle through confusion, panic, and fury, all while she nodded along to whatever her VP was saying about market projections. Second trip. My TV, my desk, my bookshelf, all my clothes. The movers were professionals. They'd clearly done this dance before with couples who weren't exactly on the same page about the move. "You can't just leave," she texted during a brief camera-off moment. "We're getting married in 5 months." "You told me you were done listening to my feelings, so I stopped sharing them, including the job offer." "This is insane. We can talk about this after my meetings." "Nothing to talk about. Decisions made. My parents spent $12,000 on deposits." "Your parents, not me. I never signed anything." She tried to stand up, forgot her camera was on. "Brianna, you're cutting out," someone said through her laptop speakers. She froze, sat back down, forced another smile. "Sorry, technical issues. Can you repeat that last point about the conversion rates?" The movers worked for 3.5 hours. Everything I owned went into that truck. My furniture, my books, my guitar, my workout equipment, photo albums from my childhood. the expensive tools I'd inherited from my grandfather, about 70% of the apartment's contents. She stayed on video calls the entire time, trapped in her own professional obligations, watching helplessly as her home was systematically dismantled around her. During brief breaks between meetings, she kept muting and unmuting, asking me what was happening. I already told you, you can't do this to me. I'm not doing anything to you. I'm doing something for me. We're supposed to get married. We have plans. We picked out China patterns. You picked out China patterns. I wasn't allowed to have opinions, remember? Too emotional. One argument. You're ending 4 years over one argument. Not one argument, 4 months of arguments. 4 months of you telling me that wanting to communicate makes me less of a man. Her next meeting started before she could respond. 11:52 a.m., the movers finished loading. I walked over to where she sat, camera off between calls, placed my apartment key and parking garage remote on the table in front of her. Lease ends next Friday. You're not on it. Figure it out. Her mouth opened and closed like she was trying to form words that wouldn't come. Have a good meeting, I said, and walked out. I closed the door, got in my car, and followed the moving truck out of Charlotte. In my rearview mirror, I could see her silhouette in the window, still sitting at her laptop. My phone started ringing at 12:14 p.m. Her meeting had ended. I ignored it. By the time I stopped for gas an hour later, I had 28 missed calls and 52 texts. I read through them at the gas station. Answer your phone right now. You can't do this to me. What city? What's the address? I'm calling the police. This is kidnapping. Kidnapping what? My own furniture? Everyone's asking where you are. What am I supposed to tell them? My mom is having a panic attack. You're destroying everything we built. The apartment is empty. Empty. You're sick. This is psychotic. I called your office. They said you don't work there anymore. How long have you been planning this? Answer me, you coward. I turned off my phone and drove the remaining 5 hours in complete silence. No music, no podcasts, just the hum of the highway and my own thoughts. Was I being cruel? Maybe. Was I being unfair? Possibly. But I was also being exactly what she'd asked for. A man who handled things without involving her in the emotional labor of decision-making. She'd gotten her wish. Arrived in Nashville at 7:23 p.m. The movers were waiting at my new building. Professional crew. They had everything unloaded, and in my apartment by 9:15 p.m. I tipped them $150 total. They'd earned it. Ordered pizza, sat on my couch in my new place, and turned my phone back on. 83 missed calls, over 120 texts, 18 voicemails. The voicemails were a journey through the 5 stages of grief. VM1, what the hell is going on? Call me back right now. VM4, I talked to the landlord. He says the lease ends next Friday and only your name is on it. What am I supposed to do? Where am I supposed to go? VM7, my mom is crying. Do you understand what you've done? We have to cancel everything. The venue, the caterer, the flowers, everything. VM11, fine. If you want to throw away 4 years, go ahead. But you're paying for half this wedding. My parents are getting a lawyer. VM15, I know you're seeing these iMessages. I know you're ignoring me. You're a coward. You're pathetic. When people find out what you did, what kind of person you really are, you'll have nothing. Nothing. VM18, please just call me back. We can figure this out. We can work through this. Don't throw us away like this. Please. The progression from anger to bargaining was almost textbook. I texted her once. You told me you were done listening to my feelings and needs. I took you seriously. Stop sharing everything. The job offer, the apartment situation, the move. You wanted a man who just handles things without discussion. You got one. Don't contact me again. Then I blocked her number, blocked her family, blocked her friends on social media. I ordered another beer from the pizza place, unpacked my laptop, and started researching Nashville. New city, new job, new life. For the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe. Saturday morning, I woke up in my new apartment and felt something I hadn't experienced in months. Peace. No tension, no walking on eggshells, no wondering if expressing a preference would trigger another lecture about masculinity. I spent the day exploring Nashville, the music scene, the food, the people. Everyone seemed friendlier here, more open. Maybe it was just the contrast, but conversations felt easier. When I stopped for coffee, the barista asked how I was settling in, and when I mentioned I'd just moved for work, she seemed genuinely interested rather than exhausted by the interaction. Checked my email over lunch. 31 messages from Brianna's family, her mother. "You have humiliated our entire family. Do you know what it's like to call 185 people and cancel a wedding? Do you know how much money we've lost? $12,000. $12,000. You will be hearing from our attorney. What you did is theft, abandonment, and fraud." Her father. "I raised my daughter to be strong, maybe too strong. But what you did, leaving without a word, that's not what real men do. Real men communicate. Real men work through problems. You had 4 years with her. 4 years. Call me. We can fix this." Her sister. "You're disgusting. She cries every day because of you. She can't eat, can't sleep. 4 years together, and you threw her away like garbage over one bad day. I hope you're happy. I hope it was worth destroying someone who loved you." I replied to all of them with the same message. I never signed a contract for the wedding, never contributed financially. Brianna repeatedly told me she was done listening to my feelings and needs, so I stopped sharing them. She wanted a man who just handled things without discussion. She got exactly that. "Sue me if you want. You'll lose." Then I blocked them all. Sunday afternoon, knock on my door. I looked through the peephole and couldn't believe what I saw. Brianna, her sister, her mother. How the hell did they find me? I opened the door with the chain on. "How did you get this address?" "Your mother gave it to me," Brianna shrieked through the gap. "After I told her you abandoned your fiancé without warning." Note to self, have a serious conversation with mom about boundaries. "You need to leave. We drove 9 hours to talk to you," her mother said, pushing closer to the door. 9 hours. The least you can do is hear us out." I said, "Don't contact me." Her sister stepped forward. "She had one bad day, and you destroyed your entire relationship over it." Multiple bad days over months where she told me my communication style was unmanly and exhausting. So I stopped communicating. "One comment," Brianna screamed. "You're doing all this over one comment." The comment that made everything clear? Yeah. The final confirmation that you don't want a partner. You want someone who just follows orders and pays bills. Building security showed up. Someone must have called about the noise. "Everything all right here? These people are harassing me. I've asked them to leave multiple times." "You heard him. Time to go." "You can't kick us out," her sister protested. "We drove 9 hours. We have a right to—" "Ma'am, this is private property. Leave now or we call the police." They left, screaming about lawyers and revenge and karma the entire way to the parking garage. I watched from my window as they sat in their car for 40 minutes, arguing and crying before finally driving away. Started my new job Monday. It was everything the interviews had promised. Team of sharp, professional people who valued communication and collaboration. My boss introduced me to the client management team. Callan's the guy who actually listens to what you're saying and translates it into realistic timelines. By Wednesday, I was already contributing to strategy sessions. By Friday, I'd prevented a major miscommunication that could have cost the company $80K. The same skills that made me too emotional in my personal life made me invaluable professionally. 3 weeks in, Brianna found my work email and sent a 5-page manifesto. I didn't read it. Forwarded it straight to HR with a note. "My ex-fiancée is harassing me at work. I left her after she repeatedly dismissed my emotional needs. She's having trouble accepting the relationship is over." HR called her within 2 hours and told her to cease all contact or face legal action. She stopped emailing work immediately. The following week, I got served with papers. She was actually suing me for breach of promise to marry and wanted $6,000, half the wedding deposits her parents had paid. Took it to a lawyer that afternoon. He read through it and started laughing. Breach of promise to marry isn't recognized in Tennessee. Even in states that do recognize it, she'd need proof that you caused her financial damages through deceptive promises. She has none. You never signed anything, never contributed money, never made written commitments. This is frivolous. He sent a response for $500, essentially telling her she had no case and that continued harassment would result in countersuits for my legal fees and emotional distress. 2 weeks later, her lawsuit was dropped. but she didn't stop trying. Fake email accounts, her friends messaging me on social media, her father showing up at my building again. Each time, my lawyer sent another cease and desist. Each time, it cost her family more money they couldn't afford. 6 months after I left, she sent one final email. I understand now. I've been in therapy for 4 months. My therapist helped me see what I did, how I treated you, how I made you feel like your feelings didn't matter. I was controlling and dismissive. I damaged you, and I'm sorry. I don't expect forgiveness or a response. I just wanted you to know that I understand why you left the way you did. I hope you're happy. I read it twice. Felt nothing. Not anger, not satisfaction, not vindication. Just nothing. Life in Nashville turned out better than I'd imagined. Got a performance bonus after 6 months. Started dating someone I met at a coffee shop. A teacher who actually asks about my day and listens to the answer. Revolutionary concept. Brianna wanted a traditional man who didn't have feelings, who just handled things silently while she managed the emotional temperature of the relationship. She got exactly that for 6 weeks while I planned my exit. Then she got nothing at all. Sometimes the perfect revenge is giving people exactly what they ask for.